Everyone, welcome to our live stream today, Tuesday, Tip Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. My name's Dan, and we are going to get started with various tips related to live broadcasting. And today I am using Restream, and I'm going live on YouTube, Twitter, as well as thank you, Chris. I saw yours last time, but not live. And Restream hopefully is, got your referral for referring me. I appreciate it. And what else about today? We're also on YouTube. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the confirmation on this being a platform that makes sense. I may be looking at the next level up because of scheduling, as well as having both my YouTube channels streamed to at once, and need to catch up with you at some point. So we have a stream here with multiple folks joining from multiple platforms. And I also want to share my screen so that you can see what we've got going on today. With Restream, I can use the website to actually connect in to a live stream. And it's going to be, I think, connecting because I'm logged in here to what I'm doing live there on the right-hand side. And then the other software that I'd like to talk about a little bit is the other streaming service that I had played around with early on, and that is StreamYard. And so if I look at the interfaces of the two pieces of software, they're very similar, and they both have the ability to go and create broadcasts to multiple platforms. However, with StreamYard here on the right, I have the ability to choose one of my YouTube channels, Twitter, a Teams connection or an RTMP, real-time messaging protocol connection, and or Facebook. The issue I had with StreamYard was I can only choose 3 of those without going to the next tier of licensing. So I reached out to my network, and Chris Strub is one of those people that I met through kind of a chance encounter on Twitter. We were back and forth. Chris had produced a list of 56 women that he was recommending for keynotes at social media types of events that he speaks at. And one thing that, thanks, Chris. One thing that I realized was his list of 56 people had somebody that I knew from Microsoft on it. And so I looked through the rest of the list, and I would say out of those 55 remaining people, I don't think I knew one of them. So it became a matter of trying to figure out who was on Twitter, who might be on LinkedIn, following those folks. And recently, before that, I had started setting up Twitter lists. And the benefit of a Twitter list is instead of following all sorts of people and realizing, especially on Twitter, that you might come up to that 5,000 following limitation that they set on just regular accounts for Twitter until you have that many followers, and there's a ratio there. I had run into that limit in at least 1 or 2 times. So I decided, you know what I'm going to do with these 56 people or 55 people that I've never met is I'm going to create a Twitter list, and I'm going to add all those folks to it. And I would say I was active on Twitter, but it wasn't one of my primary platforms. I was more focused at the time on LinkedIn. But Chris saw that I had created a Twitter list out of these 56 folks that he was recommending, and he sent me a video on Twitter mentioning me by name, as well as tagging me, thanking me for putting that together. And Just like he said, about great way to attract people's attention. That's how he got my attention. And then we actually met in person at the Rockford, Illinois social media event last year in well, I guess 2 years ago now in 2019. We met in person, which was great to meet somebody that you've followed, that you've met on social media, you've had conversations with, that type of thing. And Chris is truly one of the pioneers in this space. He maybe I think it's coming up on 6 years now, put together a 50 states book where he had traveled to all 50 states to volunteer. And he did so in 100 days. So if you haven't seen 50 States in 100 Days, his book, um, Chris, you are the man. I haven't picked up version 2, your update of the book, but I believe you mentioned to me that you've got some updates in there that may be like QR codes that you can scan from your phone so that the book takes you into blog posts or items from the stories. And I still have queued up your Monday interview with one of the folks from your book. But one thing that I realized, I think it was coming up on his 4th year anniversary of the book, was that he planned a 5-year goal with that, and that I could go ahead and schedule tweets with TweetDeck. I still have this is my reminder to schedule a first of the month reminder that people are getting their MVPs. So I can say something like, congratulations to all the new MVPs from Microsoft. And these people would be most valuable professional. So I can put that in here if people don't know what that is. But instead of having to remember this on each first of the month, I could go ahead and put in, this is a honor just to be nominated, but getting the award is even sweeter. And then I can use the MVP Buzz hashtag in that post. So instead of tweeting that immediately, what I can do here is I can schedule that tweet. And so instead of having to remember this next Thursday, which is also April Fool's Day, we'll talk about that today as well, I can go ahead and schedule this for, let's say, 6:30 a.m. and go ahead and schedule this on April Fool's Day. And one thing that another connection from Microsoft, Jennifer Gentleman, pointed out, either last year or the year before, it may have been 2 years now, was that pranking people with knowledge of computer hardware and software and making people feel, I guess, less tech savvy is something that she discourages. And I had, I think the year before, come up with a list of things you could do from a computer perspective that are funny, that aren't seriously, causing problems with a computer, but might be doing things like flipping the video. There's a hotkey on many computers, not all computers, that actually allow you to reverse or flip the video upside down. So on a desktop computer, let's look at how to do that without software. If I go to my secondary computer, which I'm sharing, and I go to the display settings, so right click on the desktop display settings, and that brings up this cool dialog here. On my secondary display, one of the choices should be the display orientation. And so if you have a desktop computer and you flip your background upside down, this may or may not be easy for me to actually navigate to keep the changes. Now I have just flipped my video on my screen upside down. And if I go back to my main screen where I have our video shared, you can't actually see it flipped, but on my computer, it is flipped upside down. So apparently Restream keeps track of the fact that you may want to see this correctly within a stream. I figured it might actually flip the video upside down there. But this is a great, I'll call it harmless, pretty much harmless prank that you can pull on a person using a computer. The thing I've learned and the advice I will share with everybody is make sure you are there when the frustrated computer user realizes their computer display is upside down, or this can become less harmless and more delaying them trying to do something, getting logged in, going to an online meeting, whatever they might be trying to do with their computer. So now I have to navigate to my second screen, try to move my mouse up to go down, up to go to landscape, and flip this back to the correct orientation so I can actually see my second screen as opposed to it being upside down. So Dan Weber has joined us. Thanks for being here, Dan. And the nice thing about Restream is it allows me to connect from a number of different platforms. So I'm connected via 3 platforms, and Restream has no limit of the different services that I leverage. So if I go back over to Microsoft Teams and I take a look at how we could incorporate Teams into all of this, Microsoft Teams allows, if I switch for 1 minute to today, me to connect live events into a service like StreamYard or Restream. So the differences from my perspective are StreamYard or Restream are both web-based. They both support up to 10 simultaneous video guests. So I could invite Dan and Chris and others watching live. I've had other people pop in, especially from Facebook, and watch these videos. I could send them a link and have them go right to Restream or StreamYard in a browser, even from a mobile phone, and join me live in one of these live sessions. These aren't recorded. The same thing I'm doing here, I could also record, and both of those services support recordings being incorporated into the live broadcast. So let's say I had something that I set up that I want to share from a video, I can do that with these services as well. The thing that I noticed, and somebody pointed out earlier, is the back end of these 2 platforms. One is using AWS and one is using Microsoft Azure. So one uses Amazon Web Services, the other uses Microsoft Azure. So depending on if you have interest in one or the other of those platforms, they leverage different platforms on the back end. And the other thing that I would mention is that depending on how you've set up your live event within Microsoft Teams depends on how you would connect these different services into a Microsoft Teams event. So I have one live event that I had set up specifically to connect to StreamYard. I have another live event that I had set up specifically for joining live from within Teams. So within Teams, I can invite different people. I can make them producers or presenters. And then I can send that link to the different people that I have invited. And then by joining from my computer here, Let's see if we can do the video here. Looks like it's still pulling in my video from OBS. So my OBS virtual camera, where I have my video, I've got a green screen behind me, and then I've got my computer shared. Looks like it's working from there. I can also use my computer, mic, and speakers. And then I can go ahead and use noise suppression as well within this Microsoft Teams live event. Hi would even get rid of background noise like my dog barking or chips or things rattling within my environment. And then I can go ahead and join from Microsoft Teams. In Microsoft Teams, if I'm using that as my production as opposed to StreamYard or Restream, this is the setup that I leverage. So as the producer, I can see my video down here at the bottom. I can share my screen, one or both screens over here to the right. These share icons are going to be moving up here to the upper right, just like they do in other meetings. But the live events interface allows you to set up as a producer on the left and then send the live event on the right to everyone on the internet. And this scales up to thousands of attendees. And Microsoft's made some announcements in the beginning of March about the future of live events and Microsoft Teams and ways to coordinate. What happens if I can't really anticipate whether I have 300 or less for an interactive meeting, or whether I have 300 or thousands of people attending for a live event, where I want a curated set of messages where the messages aren't going out real time, where I could have the audience automatically muted, and I don't have to worry about people coming off mute and interrupting a presentation as it's flowing, maybe from an executive or an important external communication. Live events is perfect for those types of scenarios. What I can do with this is set up what I'm sharing. And I'm not sure if I can invert and share again the same thing I'm sharing. Let's see if we can. Looks like screen number 2 is available. So I can go ahead and share screen number 2. And then within the live events screen, I can choose that I want my content shared and I want my video, or I can do both. So I can put both on my screen. And then by doing both and sending this live, the link that we had for the live event, which is over here within my Teams, under my calendar for my live event, and this attendee link is how you would attend this event from a Teams perspective. So what I can do there is grab the link to the Teams live event, and then I can go out to these various platforms that I'm live on, and I can post Teams live event training today. And I can post that to Twitter. I can post the same thing to Facebook very quickly. And then I can also go over to YouTube and post this on Tip Tuesday, which is where I decided to stream this today. And the main reason for that decision about using YouTube versus my Tip Tuesday channel versus my Tech Thursday was because of the amount of people that are using both of those services. I have more subscribers and I have more watch time on my Tip Tuesday channel than I have on my other channel. So now that I've sent out those links to join this event, people from any of those three platforms can join from either Teams or from the other three services. I can send this video live, and then I can start my video event. Once I start my video event within Microsoft Teams, it's a one-time shot similar to Restream or StreamYard. Let's see if I can unmute my mic as well. And I've got two screens, so I'm just adjusting my secondary screen to get the optimum view here. And then what I can now do is have an event that is being hosted in all of these different platforms at once. I have the live event from a Teams perspective, and that link will work after the live event. I have this live event being hosted from Restream in both Twitter, Facebook, and my YouTube channel. And if I were using Restream, I can actually connect and have the Restream video sent to Microsoft Teams as well. So depending on how you want to go live, to what platforms you want to go at the same time, you can decide all these things with the software like Restream or StreamYard. And there are probably other choices out there. These are just the first two that people within my network brought to my attention. Last weekend, I was live at the Sri Lankan Microsoft Certified Trainer Summit, and I've never been to Sri Lanka or India, anywhere near those areas of the world yet. But by using StreamYard, I was able to connect from my computer, present from my computer remotely, and meet some of those folks virtually through StreamYard. And it worked perfectly. The previous year, I went ahead and set a private video on my YouTube channel for another event hosted by the same Microsoft Certified Trainer contact that I know in Sri Lanka. This year, I met a number of new people of some of his colleagues over in Sri Lanka at the first Microsoft Certified Trainer Summit. And that was a wonderful opportunity to increase my network, present, and I could have used the backup of a recording if the timing didn't work out or anything else. So the other benefit to these live events is, since they allow you to incorporate both live aspects as well as recorded aspects, the recordings can be your backup in case you need a plan B or a plan C or plan D. And in my experience with live events or just training in general, it's always important, in my opinion, to have a plan A, B, and sometimes C, because things happen. And if you want to make sure you're able to address what might happen, having these different options is a great way to make sure that you're able to address all of the issues that might come up. So we are also using OBS as part of our configuration today. And what we're doing with OBS specifically is using it as a virtual output for my video camera. So the first couple times I used OBS, I found the application to be a little confusing, to say the least. And the reason for that was I hadn't spent enough time in it to really realize what I was doing or how the application worked. And what I can do towards the bottom here in the application is set up different scenes. So if I want to have one scene with my video large and another scene with my video small and my screen sharing, I can do that and just flip between them very quickly and easily, and I can have multiple scenes. Then also where it says start streaming here, I have the capability of right below this recording from this tool, streaming directly from this tool, or using this as a virtual camera, which is what I'm doing, and then picking that camera up from within Microsoft Teams, Restream, or other services that I might have on my computer. So this would allow you to do fancy videos. I could put the Microsoft whiteboard as my background as an example and write on a whiteboard that appears to be behind me. Scott Hanselman has had some really interesting suggestions on using video backgrounds or using that virtual whiteboard that could either be behind you or actually in front of you. You can set it up so that the overlay of the writing is in front of you so everybody can see it. And those are all options that OBS brings to the table. So Open Broadcaster software is a free download and is available to incorporate into this. We're on Microsoft Teams. We're on all these different platforms. We're live. And so if I had different guests that I wanted to invite up to this session, I could do that live, or I could bring their videos in from a standpoint of recorded content, previous or otherwise. So with an app like Restream, I can go up to the interface and make adjustments to the resolution and the layout that I'm using. I can go into my video storage from previous recordings that I have that are available. And then I can also upload videos, and the access to streaming these videos is an upgrade of the service that I have currently. Because of this and the scheduling of those videos, I believe I'm going to be upgrading the Restream service. And I think that will also address the 2 YouTube channels that I have that I want to be able to stream to. So that's a little bit about how I would incorporate both live video as well as recorded segments within a live broadcast. So why am I doing all of this work? Well, these are some of the places that Microsoft training opportunities have come from. I just finished a project where I was doing both Microsoft Teams Champions training for a large company, and we trained hundreds of champions and then thousands of end users. And those end users learned a little bit about all of the different aspects of Microsoft Teams. However, when you think about advanced training, where it might not be hundreds or even thousands of people that need to understand how to produce, for instance, a live event, the pool of resources that understand that technology shrinks dramatically. And that is something that I realized and thought, well, I want to be one of that small pool of resources that understand live events, like Chris Strub and Leandra Jordan, who now works for Microsoft, and Donna Sakar, who's done various events with these types of streaming events, and others from Microsoft that carried out the entire Microsoft Ignite event this earlier in March, virtually, completely virtually as an event. That pool of resources becomes, I won't say exclusive, because they're skills that anybody can learn, but it's a smaller pool of people that have those skills and that experience with these different platforms. And I wanted to be part of that smaller pool, if you will. The other thing that I have realized recently is another opportunity to think about where training and the future of both cloud services and certifications is going is to balance not only the plethora of Microsoft opportunities, but what are the other industry certifications that people are seeking out. So I am also embarking on my AWS journey to learn about Amazon Web Services and become a authorized instructor on their platform as well. And the benefit for me personally is understanding the competition as well as the services from those different companies allow you to be a much greater demand or in demand resource, because it's not just, hey, I understand this side of things. If you understand both, you can really have a good conversation about the positive and negative of those two different platforms. For instance, I'll see if this has been added to the version of of Windows that I'm running. If I look at my desktop 2 and I make a change to my background, my virtual background, one thing that Microsoft is now supporting in newer versions of the Windows Insiders software is to have multiple desktops with independent backgrounds. So it doesn't look like I've received that update just yet. And an easy way to confirm that would be to look at the version of the software that I'm running on my system. So if I look at my Windows Update here and I check for updates, let's see if I'm running the latest build of the Windows software. I did a reboot of this morning, but I'm guessing maybe I didn't receive the update that I thought I was going to. Let's see if that's come down. So I'm in the beta channel. And it looks like I have received an update, but I might need to go into a more aggressive channel to actually see these features. There's a dev channel, which puts you out on kind of the bleeding edge. But one thing that I have been a big fan of is the idea of multiple desktops. And on the Mac computer, the multiple desktops can have independent backgrounds. And the benefit of this would be if I have different backgrounds on my different desktops, it becomes easy for me to tell, hey, is this my work desktop or is this my live streaming desktop, or what things do I have running on the different desktops that I have configured on my computer. So I have interest in that. I may push the boundaries, at least on this computer, and go ahead and toss myself into that dev channel build to take a look at these features, because I have interest in taking a look at them and seeing where those are from Microsoft's perspective. So if you've never signed up for the Microsoft Windows Insiders program, you do so within your computer settings, Windows Insiders program, and then you can install yourself or accept the current builds or the early builds. And then through Windows Update, you can look for those builds on your computer. So I can go ahead and see if I have an update available and let that update download while we finish up our Tip Tuesday session for today. Okay, so there we go. I'm getting a new build right now. And hopefully that will complete before our session does. If I switch back over to my desktop 1, that is where I have my screens being shared from. And I'll cover off on a couple other things from a live events perspective, including Microsoft PowerPoint. If you're producing a live event, something else that you might be interested in incorporating are slides for that live event. So if I open Microsoft PowerPoint and I click in the upper right on Design Ideas, let's see if these come down. Doesn't look like they want to. See if we can get something here based on slide information. What Design Ideas should do is give me a number of backgrounds that have movement on them already. So if I look at different backgrounds that I've already downloaded from those Design Ideas, like this stocks one, it just puts a moving background that I can add a title to and then present this as part of my live event. If I were doing financial disclosures or something else related to the stock market, maybe this is the background I want to use for my slides. I can give them titles, do all the things I would do in PowerPoint to these slides. And then when I present these slides in a slideshow, one thing I can do is use subtitles. And then the benefit of the subtitles would be having closed captioning essentially during my live event. And if I go over to my other screen here, I should be able to get our video playing here. Let me see if I can do that. I'm not sure why the video is not playing. Let me check one other thing here with the video format playback. It's when clicked on, so I want to set it up to automatically play. And then what we should get here, there we go. We get the video playing automatically when the PowerPoint begins. This tip for Tip Tuesday comes from a couple folks that recommended using this type of setup when you are presenting, because it allows your audience to know they're in the right place and that the audio as well as video is working for them. The nice thing about a live event with having the video and the audio transcription or the subtitles is, let's say for my live event, somebody can't get their their audio working. And it's not everybody in your audience, so you're not troubleshooting things from your end. You're troubleshooting something from an individual perspective. Having these subtitles, and the way I have this set up, I have to click on the slide to play the video. It doesn't loop, but I could go into PowerPoint to loop the video. The benefit here is that person that can't hear because their audio is not working still can participate because they can read what you are saying. As you're thinking about live events, this comes back to that plan A, plan B, and plan C that I mentioned before. Plan A may be that everything works, everybody's audio is crystal clear, and the event goes off without any types of issues for any participant. Plan B might be, hey, if I have subtitles and audio either isn't working or there's some kind of issue with the technical setup on somebody's computer, which I can't control, Plan B, they can read what I'm saying during my presentation. Plan C might be, what am I going to do if I have technical difficulties either in my own setup And that can be a secondary computer. That can be a backup plan of a video, maybe where you practiced the content that you want to present in person or live. And plan C might be even having multiple presenters so that if I'm having technical difficulties, hopefully other people are not. One benefit I had to the project that I was working on was working with 3 very talented trainers so that I wasn't the only person kind of in the hot seat, if you will, when we had these sessions coming up. There were multiple trainers, multiple sessions, and it gave us the opportunity to be backup for each other, depending on any type of technical difficulty we might have. That could be on our end, the internet, whatever those issues might have been. And with that, let's wrap up our Tip Tuesday content. Thank you very much for joining me live here on 4 different platforms today. We went live on Twitter. We went live on Teams. We used my YouTube channel, Tip Tuesday, and it is Tip Tuesday, as well as Facebook. And we had folks join us from those different platforms. The nice thing about Restream is it does let me know from those different platforms where people joined from. And these videos, although live, are available later. So you are welcome to watch these as essentially recordings that are now available on all those different platforms. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And otherwise, I will be signing off, everyone. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Bye-bye.